West Africa, a young and ambitious military captain named Ibrahim Traoré has captured the continent's attention by becoming Africa's youngest head of state. At just 37 years old, Traoré's ascent to power is not only remarkable for his age, but also for the turbulent circumstances that propelled him to the forefront of Burkina Faso's political stage. He now finds himself leading a nation gripped by chaos, uncertainty, and controversy as Burkina Faso faces one of the most challenging periods in its modern history. Traoré's meteoric rise is emblematic of a new generation's deep frustration with entrenched political elites and the lingering shadow of foreign influence. Many young people see him as a symbol of hope, someone who promises to restore national sovereignty and bring about radical, long-overdue change. His bold rhetoric and decisive actions have resonated with those who feel left behind by decades of ineffective governance. Traoré has been hailed by many for his audacious move to cut ties with France, the former colonial power, and for seeking new alliances that could redefine Burkina Faso's place in the world. His efforts to reclaim national pride and assert independence have sparked both admiration and debate. Yet, his leadership remains deeply polarizing. While some celebrate his vision and courage, others worry about the direction in which he is steering the country. The streets of Ouagadougou are often filled with both jubilant supporters and passionate critics, reflecting a nation divided over its future. Despite his revolutionary promises, the reality on the ground is grim. Violence has escalated, with armed groups terrorizing communities and millions forced to flee their homes. Humanitarian crises have deepened, and Traoré's government faces mounting accusations of repression and serious human rights abuses, casting a shadow over his leadership. The gap between Traoré's ambitious pledges and the harsh daily struggles of ordinary Burkinabé grows wider with each passing day, fueling both hope and disillusionment. In this video, we'll take a closer look at Traoré's dramatic rise to power, examine his bold policies, and confront the stark challenges that now define life in Burkina Faso under his rule. We'll hear from those who support him, those who oppose him, and those caught in the crossfire. Is Ibrahim Traoré the savior his supporters believe him to be, or is he leading his country into even deeper crisis? The answer may determine the fate of an entire generation. Ibrahim Traoré was virtually unknown outside military circles, a name rarely mentioned in the corridors of power or the headlines of international news. Yet, in a matter of days, he would become the central figure in a dramatic chapter of Burkina Faso's history. In September 2022, as armored vehicles rolled through the streets of Ouagadougou and gunfire echoed in the distance, Traoré led Burkina Faso's second coup in just 8 months. The nation, already reeling from instability, watched as power shifted hands once again. Born in 1988, Traoré's journey began far from the political spotlight. He was shaped by years of relentless conflict, serving on the front lines against jihadist insurgencies that have plagued the Sahel region. These experiences forged his reputation as a determined and pragmatic officer, respected by his peers for his courage under fire. Disillusioned with the previous junta's inability to stem the violence and restore order, Traoré and a group of like-minded junior officers decided to act. Together, they ousted Lieutenant Colonel Damiba, who had himself come to power through a coup just months earlier. Their message was clear: Burkina Faso needed a new direction, and they would deliver it with a more aggressive approach to security. At just 34 years old, Traoré became the face of a restless, impatient generation. Many young people saw in him a symbol of hope, a leader unafraid to challenge the old order and confront the failures of the past. Crowds gathered in the capital, waving flags and chanting his name, eager for change. Despite his sudden rise, Traoré presented himself as a reluctant leader, insisting that he stepped forward not for personal ambition, but out of a sense of duty. He spoke of saving his country from collapse, promising to put the needs of the people above all else. This coup was more than just a change of leadership. It was a rebellion against a system that many saw as corrupt, ineffective, and out of touch with the realities faced by ordinary citizens. The streets filled with protesters demanding not just new faces, but real reform. Traoré vowed to restore security and dignity for Burkina Faso's 24 million people. He promised to rebuild trust in the government, strengthen the military, and bring an end to the violence that had torn communities apart. Across the country, people watched with a mix of hope and apprehension. Some saw Traoré as a savior, while others feared more turmoil. Families gathered around radios and televisions, anxious to hear what the future might hold under their youngest leader yet. As Traoré took command, the nation stood at a crossroads. Would this bold gamble finally bring peace, or would it plunge Burkina Faso deeper into uncertainty? Only time would tell if this coup within a coup could truly change the course of the country's destiny. Traoré's first act was to promise security and national sovereignty, tapping into public anger over years of violence and foreign exploitation. He vowed to defeat extremist groups and reclaim lost territory, presenting his government as a fighting force, not a caretaker. Traoré also pledged to overhaul the mining sector, ensuring Burkina Faso's gold would benefit its people, not foreign companies. He invoked the legacy of Thomas Sankara, calling for self-reliance and a break from dependency. The government launched audits, planned local processing of minerals, and recruited thousands of volunteer fighters. Traoré's vision was sweeping, a new social contract where the state protects its citizens and harnesses national wealth for all. The promises were bold, but could they be delivered? The nation's hopes hung in the balance. Traoré's rule is defined by a dramatic pivot from France to Russia, marking a profound transformation in Burkina Faso's foreign policy. This shift is not just symbolic. It represents a break from decades of French influence that shaped the country's politics, economy, and security apparatus. Traoré's government has made it clear that the era of French dominance is over and a new chapter is beginning. This realignment reflects a broader Sahelian trend as neighboring countries also reconsider their allegiances and seek new partners in the face of persistent instability and insecurity. For years, French troops were seen as protectors, providing military support against jihadist insurgencies and helping to maintain order in the region. But over time, frustration grew. Many Burkinabé accused France of neocolonialism, blaming it for failing to bring peace and for interfering in domestic affairs. Massive protests erupted, with crowds demanding an end to French involvement and the closure of military bases. In their place, Traoré welcomed Russian advisors and military aid, deepening ties with Moscow. Russian support arrived swiftly, including military equipment, training, and promises of economic cooperation. Burkina Faso joined Mali and Niger in the Alliance of Sahel States, forging a new regional bloc that aims to coordinate security and development policies. The alliance pledges mutual defense and a unified front against external threats, signaling a desire for greater autonomy from Western powers. This alignment is framed by its supporters as a liberation movement, a bold rejection of old power structures and a step towards self-determination. Russian media and pro-government influencers have amplified this narrative, portraying Traoré as a champion of African sovereignty and resistance to Western pressure. While supporters hail it as a bold step toward independence and a brighter future, not everyone is convinced. The shift has isolated Burkina Faso from Western aid, leading to cuts in development assistance and increased diplomatic tensions with Europe and the United States. Critics warn that reliance on new partners could bring its own challenges. Traoré is betting that these new alliances will secure his nation's future, strengthen its sovereignty, and deliver the security and prosperity that have long eluded the Sahel. But the risks are high, and the outcome remains